In this exercise, we are going to use the same numbers from exercise 1.1, but we will use the competing risk model instead of a common cause adjustment. In the table, you have 3 different potential failure modes and space to calculate the complements and the adjusted system response probabilities. First, we will calculate the complement for each marginal probability by taking 1 minus the probability. We take 1 minus cell C11. Next, we click the corner of the cell and drag the formula over and down to fill out all the complements. Having the complements will come in handy in the next step when we calculate the adjusted probabilities. For PFM1, the adjusted system response from the competing risk model is going to be equal to the integral of the system response for PFM1 multiplied by the survival function for the remaining failure modes with respect to the hazard. The result of that integral, obtained by using trapezoidal rule, is shown on the screen. For the first row of calculations, Q1, we need the marginal system response for PFM1 and the complements for PFM2 and PFM3 at both Q1 and Q0. The probabilities for Q1 will come from the first row. For hazard Q1, shown as Q sub I minus 1 in the equation, the system response for all the failure modes will be taken to 0, as shown here. Without the 0 terms, the equation becomes the PFM1 marginal system response times 0.5 times the quantity of the complement of PFM2 times the complement of PFM3 plus 1, because the quantity of 1 minus 0 times the quantity of 1 minus 0 is equal to 1. The calculation for PFM2 and PFM3 will be similar. For PFM2, it is the PFM2 marginal system response times 0.5 times the quantity of the complement of PFM1 times the complement of PFM3 plus 1. And for PFM3, it is the PFM3 marginal system response times 0.5 times the quantity of the complement of PFM1 times the complement of PFM2 plus 1. For the second row, at a pool of 733.7 and coming back to PFM1, it is time to pretty much plug and chug. We take the adjusted probability for PFM1 plus the quantity of the difference in the marginal system response for PFM1 at this hazard level and the previous one, times 0.5, times the sum of the survival function at this hazard level and the previous. As such, the last term becomes the complement of PFM2 times the complement of PFM3 at pool 733.7 plus the complement of PFM2 times the complement of PFM3 at pool 728.4. Next, move your cursor to the corner of the cell and double-click when you see the plus sign to use that same formula to populate the rest of the cells. Repeat the prior steps for PFM2. The formula is the same, but we now use the system response probabilities for PFM2 and the complements for PFM1 and PFM3. Move to the corner of the cell and double-click to finish up PFM2. Then repeat for PFM3 using the system response probabilities for PFM3 and the complements from PFM1 and PFM2. Double-click in the corner to use the same formula for the remaining cells and to finish out PFM3 and to complete the table. When done correctly for a given hazard level, which is pool in this case, the sum of the adjusted system response probabilities will equal the same result you will get using De Morgan's rule, just like we saw for the common cause adjustment in exercise 1.1. While the resulting total probability will be the same, how that probability is distributed between the potential failure modes will be different. Here are the plots of the marginal system response and the adjusted system response using the competing risk model. As with the common cause adjustment, you can see that the probabilities for all three potential failure modes have been reduced. If you compare the results for the competing risk model to the results from the common cause adjustment, you will find that the probability for PFM1 is slightly higher in the competing risk model. You will also find that the probabilities for PFM2 and PFM3 are slightly lower in the competing risk model, but the calculated total probability is the same.